This is the Classic Auto Mall Show. Broadcast from the studios inside the Classic Auto Mall in Morgantown, Pennsylvania. Just 1 hour west of Philadelphia at Pennsylvania Turnpike exit 298. Featuring nearly 1,000 classic, vintage, and barn-find vehicles for sale under one climate-controlled roof. Now, here's your host, Classic Auto Mall president and the man with all the toys, Stewart Howden.
And here we are, show number 233.
Congratulations.
Hey.
Is there a milestone for 233?
No.
Is that like wood or silver, one of those anniversary gifts?
Sure, if you want.
If you want it to be. How many cars in inventory right now, JR?
901.
Oh.
895.
Ooh, 893.
Oh.
Boo.
Which we boo because we're down in the 800s, so I'm
Panicking.
Can't sleep at night.
You're hitting the cabinets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm hitting cabinets in the middle of my sleep.
Is it neurotic where you got almost 900 cars and you're like,
and
we
worried
don't have
about it.
enough.
We don't have enough. We're panicked. Yeah, it's neurotic might be one word you'd use for it. So.
Can't wait till the spring.
Can't wait till spring, yeah, because the weather has slowed us down on consignments, but the sales have just kept on going, and I can't tell the guys to slow down on the selling. So we'll just keep it going as we can.
Need the money.
We need money, so we got to fund this, monstrosity here.
Yep.
So let's get to our guest who's joining us from across the pond. Russell Hayes, author, freelance writer, backgrounds in magazines, television, and books. Good morning, afternoon, Russell.
Good morning, Stuart. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, so glad to have you on. Your latest book is amazing. I got it, 4 or 5 days ago, and Aston Martin, and I was going to ask you, is it the entire story? And then I saw that the title was The Entire Story, so I thought, well, I don't have to ask that. So that's the entire story. Where's your cutoff? Where's the last thing that you did? Was it 2023 or?
No, it's actually 2025.
Wow.
Yeah, we were tinkering with it right up until May last year.
Wow. And, proofing a book that size is no easy task. That's a lot of work.
No, you've got to have several pairs of eyes on it. And I had a really good editor.
Sure.
So, hats off to Steve.
Well, it's always, I have a Steve, and hats off to him. So, yeah, it's always good to have a Steve around, right? So, basically, Aston Martin started in 1913, right?
That's it, yeah. With the formation of a company called Bamford and Martin, which was Lionel Martin and Robert Bamford, two engineers who met at a cycling club. Their passion was cycling. There was a real craze for fast pedal cycles at the turn of the century. So they were both mad cyclists, and then that turned into cars.
Sure. And it's so much better that they named the company after Aston, which was the local hill climb, I believe, that was in close to that where they grew up or where they were from.
Yeah, sort of not far out of London, Buckinghamshire. It's a place there's a village called Aston Clinton, and there's a hill called Aston Hill. So it was where Lionel Martin had a bit of success with his singer going up the hill.
Yeah, it's interesting how things get their names and how, like, you sometimes see Aston Martin written with a hyphen in between it. And I thought, I wonder where that came from. And then I was looking through your book, and I saw there was a couple of times where Aston Martin were separated by the wing logo, and it almost looked like a hyphen. I could see where maybe people might mistake that as a hyphen between the two words.
Yeah, it was. It was actually hyphenated in the very early years, but that had gone by about the 1920s.
Where did the wings come from? Was that inspired by anything other than just kind of flight and fast and whatever?
Yeah, the wings came from a guy called Sammy Davis, who was the sports editor of Autocar at the time, and a big Aston Martin supporter. He was very, very friendly with Lionel Martin, and he actually drew them. He was quite a talented artist, and he drew them based on the design of the a sort of scarab beetle in a kind of Egyptian fashion in the 1930s. So
Sure.
that was very fashionable then. So that's where it comes from.
Yeah, it's a great looking logo. It really is. It's so iconic and still holds up well today. It's a little modified from the original, but fairly, true to its roots.
You can trace it through, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and you've also done other books on Alpine, Lotus, TVR, the Volkswagen Golf, which we're all big fans of around here. That must have been a fun book.
Yeah, the golf has followed me quite a way through. I first did my first golf book in 2014
Right.
when I noticed that it was the 40th anniversary of the golf coming up, and nobody was producing a book on it. So that came out, and then that reprinted in 21, and I've just had a book on the GTI come out.
Oh, wow. Well, and books, being an author these days, it's a little better than it was. It seems to be that the internet has actually helped more than it hurt being an author. And book sales in motorsports type books and automotive books seem to be doing much better than they were doing even 10 years ago.
It's a small market, but it hangs on in there. And you can't see much in bookshops anymore.
Right.
There were a couple of motoring bookshops in England, and I think they might have gone completely online now. But you see them at car shows, and yeah, the internet has helped. It's given a much wider market.
Sure. And with Aston Martin, I mean, when you write a book of this stature with Aston Martin, is it required to get some kind of permission from Aston Martin? Do you have them bless it? Is it kind of free reign and open, whatever they call it?
Well, this isn't endorsed by them, but they were good supporters.
Oh, good.
They have a guy who's a permanent historian, guy called Steve Waddingham, and he was a great ally.
Sure.
So I would go up and see him every now and again and chew things over, and he even got me in on a private tour of the factory, which was fantastic.
Wow, how cool is that?
Yeah.
So, and this was a labor of love for you, this Aston Martin book, right?
Well, it was actually my second Aston Martin book. I did one in 2019 on just the V8s,
right,
from 1969 to 2000, and that's not on Amazon. That's quite a limited edition book, which is only sold through the publishers.
Sure.
And that's gone now. But I had a really good grounding, I think, from that book, from the research I did, and then I was writing for an Aston Martin magazine called Vantage.
Right.
So when I approached Evro, they had a project, and that had my name on it, I think.
Sure. Well, and I mean, this is not just some paperback book. This is a very nicely done in a highest standards, in a cloth-bound slipcase. I mean, this book set is really a real work of art.
Yeah, I think they've done a beautiful job on it, and they were really good to me because originally it had a kind of smaller scope. But then I looked at it and I wrote down the whole history, and the more we looked into it, I said, I've just got to do everything. I've got to put all the motorsport in there as well. Because what people have tended to do, because the history is so long, is pick distinct parts of it. Like they'll pick the DB5, or they'll pick the modern cars, or they'll just do the motorsport. And I noticed that there wasn't a book which covered the entire story, hadn't been done for decades.
Sure.
So I thought it was about time, and Evro were very kind. They let me grow the book into 2 volumes.
I was going to say, was it so the original plan was just a single volume, or was it always kind of in your mind to be 2 volumes?
It was a single volume, but then I just completely bust my word limit, and they didn't mind. They were so kind.
Well, the volume 1 is 1910s to the 1980s, and then volume 2, 1980s to the 2020s. Was it harder? Was it one harder than the other?
The sort of very early stuff was a kind of new territory for me, because we're a long way from cars in the 1900s and 1920s. Sure. They're out of our memory, and I took myself to a pre-war Aston Martin specialist to spend a morning with them to just talk me through what all these bits of technology were that I was talking about, like friction shock absorbers.
Sure.
So that was really useful. So and there's nobody around to interview. We can't talk to anybody. They're all gone. Sure. So you have to rely on archive interviews and dig around to see what what you can find.
Yeah, there are so many people that have passed on that we wished we had gotten more information from, that we weren't thinking about it like we are nowadays. It seems to be we're doing a better job of it as a society to talk to people that have significant contributions to the world, and we get that information on tape or in books or whatever. But man, there was a lot of them that we missed and missed a lot of information that, well, it's like my grandmother used to tell stories that I just wouldn't listen to, and now I'd just kill to have those stories and to be able to hear them and to record them and to preserve them.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to get people as they're retiring. That's the point. They're just retired and it's still fresh.
Right.
But then they can let rip. They can normally say what they want to say about how it really was.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is some of these guys, they waited so long to get them that their memory was slipping, and they were getting up in age, and recollections. Things change. The way we remember things, and something can trigger you to remember something a little differently, and it's a shame. But books like this, I think. We love the internet. We love the ability to do all we can do on the internet. But to have books like this that will be preserved, I think is as important to the history of the world as anything is.
Yeah, I think so. And I'd like it to be, referred to as a kind of reference. If people think it's good enough to be a reference, I'd be very happy with that.
Sure. Is it? Did you have stuff that you had to leave out? I mean, was there stuff that there was just too much more information about, or did you cover just about everything that you wanted to cover?
I covered just about everything I wanted to cover, and that's why it went to 2 volumes.
Right.
Because I kept coming across stuff like old interviews which people had done in the 1980s. I can't not have this. This is a great story. I've got to put it in.
Right.
Because those kind of things break up the flow. They give it a rhythm. Because you're bombarding people with lots of facts,
right?
And then suddenly to have somebody's voice in there is great, which says, we did that and it didn't work, and the wheels fell off it, and it was a really bad idea, but then we did this and it was really much better. Well,
I mean, I imagine the minute you hit print, literally, not literally, but figuratively hit print, that there'd be another story that some guy will tell you, hey, did you hear the one about, when so-and-so did this?
Oh yeah, when it's out, somebody will always come and say, "Oh yeah, I could have told you about that." So okay,
yeah. Why didn't you call me?
Second edition. That's what I hope.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about publishing. I know that a lot of these, especially automotive books, are doing second and third editions because of the fact that the history is continuing. Like with Aston Martin, I mean, in 10 years from now, there'll be we hope there'll be another 10 years worth of information, right? We don't know that for certain, but we hope that there will be.
Yeah, maybe another chapter.
Yeah, I think so. So, I mean, this is, 700 pages. That's a lot of information. How do you keep track of where you are and what you're doing? Do you have sticky notes like all over a whole wall, or how do you juggle all that?
I love sticky notes. My entire life is run on sticky notes.
I have lists. I have guys that work for me that are like that. They have sticky notes.
I have to write myself a little timetable of about the next 4 weeks and put on it every day what I want to do and what I want to do by the end of that month.
Right. So Aston Martin, I mean, they've had some serious ups and downs over the years. I mean, I think that I read that they'd been bankrupt at least 7 times, or not bankrupt, but almost bankrupt at least 7 or 8 times. And it's amazing that it was somehow survived, because so many manufacturers did not survive.
Yeah, they were perpetually bailed out by people who just loved them, and that's been the way since the 1920s. They always had their supporters, and a lot of them thankfully had very deep pockets.
Sure.
So, every now and again they would just run out of money, and somebody would say, well, okay,
yeah,
I've got £10,000 knocking around. Can I be a director? And they said, thank you very much. Of course you can be a director.
We'll maybe make a little plaque with your name on it, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. And I mean, because in the 30s, Aston Martins were pretty pricey, and it was kind of a more limited market for what they did, and that probably didn't help them a whole lot. I mean, it was great for their reputation, maybe not so good for the bottom line.
Yeah, they kept up their standards of having a quality car.
Right.
But essentially, the people that ran it were enthusiasts and engineers first, and business people second.
Yeah. I mean, don't we see that often though in people that are good at their trade, but their business skills are not quite as good, and so it's to find somebody who has both is kind of a rare combination. And that's why a lot of times that even though everybody says, "Oh, never be in partners with somebody," sometimes a partnership between a guy who's good at marketing and a guy who's good at the numbers is a win-win situation.
Yeah, and every now and again that happened, and they had Aston Martin's had some fantastic combinations of owners and some very charismatic bosses as well.
Sure,
which all makes the story great.
Sure. And some great looking cars, especially the early 30s, especially those early Le Mans cars from 1931, the two-seater Le Mans from 1931. I mean, that is sexy before sexy was a thing with cars.
I know, and the Ulster. That's the standout car of the 30s. Yeah.
And then, of course, the late 40s to the late 50s. I mean, the David Brown cars were just unbelievable. And, of course, culminating in a victory at Le Mans in 1959. I mean, that car, that may be the prettiest car in the world ever. I would argue that DBR1, man, what a car.
Yeah. I mean, halfway through the 1950s, they kind of suddenly realized that you can have a racing car and it can be good looking.
Yeah.
So they got Frank Feely to design the DB3S, and that was a beautiful car. Sure. And it continued through to the DBRs, and the DBRs were also really informed by function as well. They were properly wind tunnel tested, and they went as good as they looked.
Right. Which was rare. I mean, most of them were so purpose built that nobody thought about the design nor cared about the design of the car.
Yeah, well, they cared about the mechanical bits, but the availability of wind tunnels didn't really come in until the late 1950s.
Right.
So it was just guesswork as to why they stuck on the ground or didn't stick on the ground.
Sure. And think about it. I mean, that must have been a difficult task to be an engineer back in the 30s and 40s, trying to figure out aerodynamics without the tools that you have even back, 25, 30 years ago. You just didn't have the tools to be able to test it. It's amazing that they figured it out. I know that there were some guys, they would get a fan and some smoke, and they would try to do a kind of a crude version of a wind tunnel. Like a whole
and the other thing they did with the DBRs was they stuck little bits of wool all over the car and ran it around a test track and looked at it for hours to see which way the wool was blowing.
Right. Wow, that's it's crazy. And of course, they had a pretty famous American guy in 1959 running it, Carroll Shelby, who's well known to all of us over here. Driving for Aston Martin. A lot of people don't realize that he had a racing career before he was building Cobras and all the other stuff that he built.
Oh yeah, he first raced for Aston Martin in 1954. And that's because John Wyer, the legendary team manager, had gone to the organisers of Sebring and said, we need to, sell more cars in the States. Can you recommend a driver who's known to the American public? And Shelby's name came up. Sure. And he had quite a long association with Aston Martin going through right till the early 1960s.
Right.
And an interesting thing was that he originally approached them first before he went to AC to build his own car. So the future Cobra might have been built by Aston Martin, but David Brown wasn't keen because he wanted a car. Thought an Aston Martin always have to have an Aston Martin engine.
Sure.
So he turned him down.
Until you come to modern Formula One, and then they put a Honda motor in it. So
yeah. Well, they've just gone from a Mercedes to a Honda. Yeah,
exactly. We'll talk about that in a minute, but it's one of those things that Aston Martin is such a well-known brand that doesn't sell. It's like everybody's heard of Aston Martin, but they don't sell cars like Ford does or General Motors or, even Fiat or somebody else. I mean, they're so well-known, yet that doesn't equate to sales necessarily. But I got to imagine that the relationship with the James Bond franchise had to do as much, if not more than anything ever was for Aston Martin.
Yeah, it's been it's kind of come and gone for them. Started with Goldfinger, and they were quite taken aback by the whole thing. and they didn't quite know what to do with the sales success. They were producing DB6s faster than they could sell them. And then it went away right through the 1970s and the 1980s, because Roger Moore was driving anything but an Aston Martin.
Right.
And then BMW started waving its money around. And when Ford took over, they said, right, we've had enough. We want to seriously get in bed with the Bond people. And from that point onwards, they were actually building cars for the films.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting how that all worked out. And of course, Aston Martin, I mean, the Ford years were, I guess they were, we probably wouldn't have Aston Martin if Ford wasn't involved at that juncture, wouldn't you imagine?
No, we wouldn't. Absolutely not. I mean, for 20 years, Ford just threw money at it.
Right.
And, from then they got a whole range of new models, which lasted them for, 10, 15 years afterwards.
Sure. And
a new factory. And a whole method of construction. So the Ford years were a lifeline for Aston Martin, and we owe it to Ford that we've still got it today, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And when Ford sold it, were they just tired of it, or what do you think they got? I mean, did they get what they were looking for out of it, or what do you think was the mindset there?
It was like there's often things when the parent company catches a cold. The child suffers. Their premier automotive group wasn't doing well, and they were, the profits had gone from the main Ford group, so they were just selling off. They sold off Volvo, then they sold off Land Rover, then eventually they sold off Jaguar. So Aston Martin was always due for the chop in those circumstances.
Knew it was going to come. Knew it was coming one of these days, just not exactly when it was going to happen. So, and of course, the things that Aston Martin was doing. I mean, hand-built V8s, which are Aston Martin's calling card. I don't imagine that set well with the Ford guys.
I think they were a bit bemused by what they'd bought, first of all, in 1987. And they used to parachute in the retiring Ford executives to head the company. I think as a kind of goodbye handshake. Sure. That was considered a nice thing to do. But again, they funded the development of the DB7 straight away, and that really changed production. That was, ramped up production in a scale that they'd never seen before, and they got their own engine for that. And then, of course, Ford invested in the V12,
right?
And that V12 had such a long life, and it was, such a good engine.
Sure. Well, I think that the V12 is just that. Talk about a status symbol when it comes to engines. When you say V12, it gets people's attention because a lot of people don't even realize that there's such a thing. I mean, even in this day and age where, all the information you can find all over the world, you still say V12 and people look at you sometimes funny and say, what would that be? There can't be possible that there's that big of an engine.
No, and it's still their calling card. It's still their flagship car. They've got their own V12 now, which is unrelated to the Ford one. And they continue to, which is made in England. So that's a real signature for them.
Sure. And what are your thoughts on Formula One and Aston Martin's participation in that? Is that, you think that's been, I mean, obviously it's good for the brand because it's a lot of exposure, but that's a tough cookie to crack when you're racing against Mercedes and Ferrari and Red Bull.
Yeah, I mean, I think they know that they get millions worth of free advertising out of the exposure. But when you've got cars which the average starting price is about £200,000 or about $300,000,
right?
That market is not very big. But their exposure is fantastic when you think about it, because they managed to get the deal to have the pace cars and the medical cars as Aston Martin. So every time you see a medical car go out, it's a DBX.
Right.
And when you see the pace car go out, it's 9 times out of 10, it's a Vantage.
Yeah.
So, their exposure is way higher than their volume of cars.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that kind of exposure you think would equate to much more sales than they have. I mean, do they limit their sales like Ferrari does, or do they build as many as they need?
Their targets for sales have gone up and down. I mean, about 10 years ago, they were talking about 10,000 cars a year, but now they've got more realistic.
Right.
They've realised that it's much better to make fewer cars, but make them much higher value.
Right.
So, I mean, in 2024, they made 6,000 cars, and they haven't got the 25 figures yet, but that's it's probably going to be less because that was a hard year.
Yeah. And 6,000 cars doesn't seem like enough to keep the lights on. I mean, that seems like a low amount that would be hard to cover your costs.
It depends what kind of cars they are, I guess.
Right.
I mean, the Valhalla, which they said they're going to make 999 of them. Those are £850,000 each.
That ought to do something for the bottom line.
Yeah, so that's not. They just need to ramp up production of the more expensive cars. And they've always had specials baked into the product plan.
Right.
So they'll do a run of 100 and charge $2 million for each of them, and then they'll do another different type of car. Because what the ultra wealthy want is exclusivity, and so they want a car that nobody else has.
Yeah. And those cars those special editions, whether it be it Ferrari or Aston Martin or McLaren, those, kind of one of 400, they can charge basically whatever. And I just think they go, what if we charge $3 million on this one? And they go, yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. It's like, what can we get away with?
Yeah. I mean, when's somebody's going to tell us to stop? We'll just keep making.
And they ring around their favorite, very wealthy customers and said, "Oh, if we did one of these, would you be interested?"
Yeah.
And just see if they take the bait.
And most of them pre-sell out. I mean, most of them are sold before they even start the manufacturing process. I mean, they're not completely paid for. I imagine it's just a deposit or something along those lines. But, it's like with Ferrari. If you want certain Ferraris, you have to buy other Ferraris to be able to even get into the queue to buy the one Ferrari you really wanted. So you buy 5 that you didn't care about to get the one you wanted.
Yeah, you have to be lucky enough to be invited.
Yeah, exactly. So with Aston Martin, we had talked about this a little bit. Using Honda engines. I mean, that seems odd. I would think that a manufacturer would want to use their own power plants in a Formula One car or any type of motorsports because I don't know. It just seems like it dilutes the brand a little bit when you're using a Honda and an Aston Martin or a Mercedes or whatever.
Yeah, it's been a quite interesting way that the feeling has evolved about how people care about what brand of engine is in their car. Because, in the 1960s and 70s, the idea that an Aston Martin would have anything but an Aston Martin engine would be just heresy.
I love that word.
but now, when they went over to the Mercedes engines in 2014 for the Vantage, it worked fine because people and I spoke to one of Aston Martin's oldest dealers for the book, and he said, well, people recognize that Mercedes AMG engine is a really good, reliable engine. Right. So they were fine with it.
Sure.
And it has Aston Martin state of tune. It has certain changes to it. But I think people are more open to different power plants.
Sure.
To keep their car going.
Well, and listen, if it's a choice between Aston Martin participating in Formula One with a Honda engine or not participating at all, I think we'd all choose the former, that we would like to see them continue to participate in F1 and, hopefully be competitive and to not just go away.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, relative to the, as you said, relative to the amount of cars they sell, it's a miracle they're there at all.
Yeah.
And it's, thanks to Lawrence Stroll,
who pulled off a coup when he made an agreement, I think, for the next 40 years that the F1 team has to pay Aston Martin X amount of dollars. So even if he doesn't own the companies anymore, Aston Martin F1 will continue to get funded by Aston Martin proper for many, many moons to come or something along those lines. Yeah.
Separating the road car funding from the motorsport was a smart idea.
Absolutely. And, Lawrence Stroll is an interesting guy. And on one hand, he seems kind of like an arrogant guy who doesn't listen to people and doesn't care about doing things and just wants to own the team. But on the other hand, I mean, he did a lot to improve the F1 team. I mean, built a state-of-the-art factory, a world-class wind tunnel, a simulator, brought in Adrian Newey, which I don't know how that makes sense at this point in time, but hopefully it does.
Yeah, I mean, all the ingredients are there, and the investment is massive.
Oh, yeah. I was reading the numbers. It's crazy, the amount of revenue that they get. And it's amazing based on where you finished in the manufacturer standings, how much money you get. I think the lowest team last year got 60 million and Mercedes got 260 million. Wow. That's a significant difference.
Yeah, mad money.
Yeah. So, and, we were talking about the pace car, and I think Mercedes. So I read somewhere, and I'm not sure if this is one internet troll or what, that Aston Martin might not be renewing their safety car and on-track car, a medical car agreement. I guess they had an agreement, and Mercedes had one too, and I'm not sure. So I didn't know if you'd heard anything about that or not.
No, I hadn't, but it might be a case of the highest bidder wins.
Well, true, absolutely. I mean, that DBX, that's a sexy looking SUV. I'm really impressed, and especially in that green.
Yeah. They pulled off a real coup there, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I interviewed the guy that was the sort of head of engineering at the time, and they waited for the right moment for it.
Right.
They produced a Lagonda concept in 2009, which looked really good, but that was too soon. That was before the Bentley Bentayga, before the Cullinan, Rolls-Royce.
Right.
So when they came to develop the DBX, they thought, well, should we do it off a platform? Should we do it off a Mercedes platform? And they decided to go ahead with their own platform just to get the credibility.
Right.
So they're not sharing parts with anybody else. And that gave them a lot of freedom to build the proportions and the dimensions they wanted to.
Sure.
And it's quite a low slung car for an SUV.
Right.
And it's so distinctive, you can't mistake it for anything else.
It will make you turn your head. I don't care how jaded of a car guy you are. You see one of those, especially in the green, and you see one of those and you just immediately go to it. I mean, and that green, especially the DBR9 racing green. My wife has a V8 Vantage convertible 2008 that's in DBR9 racing green with a Sahara tan. That is the best looking car. You can park anywhere. I don't care what you park next to. People are gravitating to that car. There's something about an Aston Martin in green that is perfect.
That sounds like the best combo.
Yeah, it is a great combo. I actually made the mistake of telling my wife that I maybe was thinking about selling it, and she said, "Don't you even let anybody test drive that car." It's only got 5,000 original miles on it, and it's a 2008, so it's limited use to say the least.
We'll hang on to that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So the question begs: are you an Aston Martin driver? What's your daily driver?
I'd love to be an Aston Martin driver, but I'm just a poor author.
Yeah, just scraping by, right? And so,
just scraping by? Yeah.
What is your daily driver?
Oh well, I have to say, I'm afraid. Not afraid. I chose it very carefully. It's a Mazda. It's a Mazda 3.
Oh yeah, I like those. Those are fun to drive. Yeah. A friend of mine has one of those, and it's a lot of fun to drive.
It's a cool looking car, and it's very well made, and it's got to live on a street in London.
Yeah,
living on a street in London is hard, and it's been scraped by the passers-by already.
Yeah. Oh, so it just happens. I think when you buy a car and have to park on the street, you should just take a key and just go ahead and gouge the fender right away before you even drive it, and just say, "Okay, I got that out of the way."
Well, I curb my own wheels straight away.
We won't even get into curbing wheels. That's a whole nother subject. Do you have a favorite Aston Martin? Is there one that you particularly are fond of?
I've got quite a soft spot for the V8s, that long running V8.
Yeah. And
I think the sort of very last of the series where they had slightly flared arches and BBS alloy wheels.
Right.
As in the Living Daylights. That just looks so good.
Yeah. Isn't it funny?
That's such a good-looking car.
BBS wheels in the day were the wheel. I mean, there was nothing that came close to a BBS wheel, the coolest-looking wheel on the planet, whether it was on a Porsche race car, an Aston Martin, or a Camaro. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
So,
and that was a very old design by then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, So to find your book, obviously, I guess Amazon, you can probably find it. But can you? I mean, the publisher, the U.S. publisher, Evro Publishing, or North America is CortoKnows.com, I guess, is the
Quarto distributes it. But if you go to the Evro website, there's a whole lot of information on it. You can see extracts from the book as well. You can order it direct from there.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, listen, we really appreciate your time and have enjoyed very much talking about Aston Martins and all things Aston Martin. And we hope we can run into you sometime soon. If you're over here in the States, come visit us here just west of Philly.
Oh, well, your mail looks amazing.
It's crazy. I don't know what I was thinking, and I'd like to. If you have a big check or know anybody who does, we'd sell it tomorrow.
Okay.
Just kidding. Anyway, thanks so much, Russell Hayes, everybody, from the book, the Aston Martin, and go out and get it if you can because it's fantastic. And we'll see you soon, I'm sure.
Whether you want to buy or sell a classic, collectible, or special interest vehicle, you need to visit the Classic Auto Mall website for more information. If you're looking to buy, you can easily search our inventory of more than 1,000 vehicles on the web at classicautomall.com.
Hey, is that me?
The finger.
He already did the finger. I was ignoring his finger.
But anyway, here we go again.
Oh, that cracks me up.
JR's got too much free time.
He's got too much free time. And, you talk about, now I've got my own theme song. Oh,
Yeah, I
God.
mean, you love rocking. That guy rocks.
My poor wife is, I don't know how
Retro
she
rock.
puts up with anything that I do. So, wow, what, we're selling like crazy. But as we mentioned earlier, the consignments have just, the weather has just been so nasty.
Well,
And ugly.
And
that's what happens when you open a consignment house in Pennsylvania.
Exactly.
There's always that risk.
It's not always sunny. It's there's many days that are, and the worst part is that apparently they put salt down even if it's a chance of snow, or even just heavy rain. We could put salt down and maybe it'll make it splatter differently.
And you make a good point.
freezing.
This is the time when it's rainy like this that you get this salt mist on your windshield.
Yeah.
That is the worst thing.
You
ever.
can't see, and then it gets underneath your car.
And you have to spray the soapy stuff.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Windshield washer fluid.
The soapy stuff.
The soapy
Yes.
stuff.
So it's not always sunny in Philadelphia.
No, it's not. And wasn't there a guy named Soapy Slips?
Soupy Sales. Great.
Exactly.
And,
Philadelphia.
and Soapy Williams, the former governor of Michigan.
That's exactly right. So, where did we sell cars this week?
Where?
Oh, how about Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania? Hey. Haverford, Pennsylvania, King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, Spring City, Pennsylvania, Shavertown, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Middletown, Pennsylvania. Why don't we just sell all to
All in
Pennsylvania? Perkiomenville, Pennsylvania.
No kidding.
Bay Harbor Islands, Florida, Doylestown, Pennsylvania, Honeybrook, Pennsylvania, Leesport, Pennsylvania, Middletown, Pennsylvania, Greeley, Colorado, Plainfield, Pennsylvania, Macungie, Pennsylvania, Waynesville, Georgia, New Baltimore, New York, Charlton, New York.
Huh.
So lots of PAs.
Hey, my little Forza came out of Greeley.
Yeah,
Colorado.
It did.
Yep.
Greeley, Colorado. That's a cool part of the world. So some of the new our YouTube channel, thank you for all that subscribe and who watch and to comment and to tell your friends about it and everything you do. We're really getting some traction with it.
Have we hit a bazillion yet?
We're about a bazillion. So we're at
Half a bazillion.
213,000 subscribers, which is mind-boggling. When we got that plaque, it
100,000.
was 100,000. When was that?
2 weeks ago.
All right, now let's don't completely.
But what's amazing to me is some of the shorts that we have are like in the millions.
Yeah, millions of views. And we've got 1,778 videos online right now between our shorts and our full-length stuff, thanks to Randy and the guys.
Yep.
And total views, 12.8 million views. That's
All right, so don't say there's nothing to watch.
If everybody would just send us $1 every time you view something, we could
Is that
retire.
how it works? Maybe I've been doing it wrong here. I didn't know that you had to ask for $1 for every one, right?
We can monetize.
We can monetize that bad boy. How about the new arrivals?
How about
This one's a little near and dear to my heart. The first one, 1937 Ford 85 Deluxe Cabriolet, orange tricolor over tan and brown. This thing is a spectacular build, built by some friends of ours. Got a 6.2 liter LS3, 4-speed automatic transmission, no expense spared. I mean, this thing over 500,000 invested. I mean, a lot of that is not recoupable. We get it. We
Right.
know that, just because
That's not the list price.
that's not the list. No, it's not the list price. And it was donated by our dear friends to the Christ in Action charity, which is a charity founded in 1982, centered on disaster relief efforts. And they go in and either gut your house if it needs to be, and then rebuild from the frame out and up, or they go in and tear it down and clean it out and make way for, if you've had a tornado or floods or some kind of damage. And then and it's all volunteer. None of the guys get paid to do it. They have the heavy equipment that can remove trees from properties that have demolished. And last year, they demolished and cleared the property for 300 homes. Wow. So it's 300 families that probably wouldn't have been able to rebuild had they not had the help from these guys. And they don't receive any money. Everything they do is free. They don't receive any public funds or even grants. They're all just and they operate debt free. They monetize it every year and they cover their costs. And
how is this car related to?
It was donated by the sellers.
Okay.
The husband passed away just after this build was completed, and the wife, it was hard for her it was their dream car.
Sure.
And they built this thing, to the specs that they wanted, and it was hard for her to it's like walking back in the house. It's just tough. And so she decided that it should go to a good cause, and we're just happy that we can help with that. If you go to their website, christinaction.com, and you can, I guess, donate there and see what's going on, and also go to our website and you can, get information on the car itself. It's stock number 8153, and we've just recently lowered the price on it a little bit. We'd like to get it sold for them. I don't know if there's any tax advantages, so I'm not going to claim that there is for purchasing the car. You're not writing the check directly to the charity, so I'd imagine not. But you're doing a good thing. This is a good thing to help people in need in a crisis time, so I'll get off my soapbox now. And
thanks to the family that donated.
Absolutely.
And the car itself is like Foose level.
Yeah, it's
Boyd Coddington level.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's hard to find fault with it.
It's amazing.
So if you get a chance, check that out. Another new arrival is 1940 Pontiac Deluxe 8 Silver Streak Superior Hearse. Black over blue. It's parked in my office for some reason. I don't know why. Black over blue, lovingly preserved. This thing is really well. I mean, do you expect a hearse not to be well maintained? You probably don't want to see a hearse that's got, the sagging headliner.
Yeah. There are out there. Not this one.
Probably are.
Always clean.
Yeah, rarely seen. I mean, you just don't see these, and especially from 1940. When was the last time you saw a hearse from the 40s or even 50s for that matter?
Never.
They just don't exist. So
rarely even in movies.
Yeah, they're just not seen. So if you get a chance, check that one out. Another new arrival is the 1977 Chevrolet Cheyenne 20 step-side long bed pickup, green over saddle, 87,000 actual miles. One family owned since new. How cool is that? Amazing, yeah. Yeah, garage kept. I mean, who kept a step-side long bed pickup in a garage?
Well,
not many people.
He had a barn or something.
But he did, but
yeah.
My point is that not many people had the space to do that.
That's right.
Trucks are, low on the totem pole. They went outside.
Sure.
Mama's Cadillac went in the garage. And but this thing is really, really nice. And it's long bed. And it's funny how long bed pickups used to be almost unsaleable. People just
like four doors, like
a 4-door sedan. They just didn't care about it.
They're back, baby.
But boy, people love the long beds now. I mean, I guess they're more practical if you're planning on hauling things.
Yeah.
This one's got 350 cubic inch 4-barrel, and it's a long bed step side, which is rare. You see the long bed slab side, but the step side in a long bed is not something you normally see.
Very cool.
The step side is a great idea on a truck. Yeah. I don't know why they don't make them anymore. My GMC has a back bumper step that you can step on. So,
electric?
And no, this is just a hole that you stick your foot in. But the running boards on my old GMC truck would actually come out.
Yes.
And then you could hit the button on the end of them and they'd slide back where you could get up into the box.
Wow.
My new ones are always out, which I didn't know, and I'm kind of ticked off about.
Okay.
And I don't know why GMC didn't make them all fold up and come out, but
Well, price point.
I'm sure it had something to do with money. But I would have paid the extra had I paid enough attention to know that the damn thing didn't have it.
Knock your chin on it?
No, I just didn't realize that. There's certain things that I overlook in buying cars. So if you need to sell a car and you want to get a good price for it and you want to get somebody who's not really paying attention, I'm your guy.
We all have tunnel vision when we go to buy a car.
Yeah, I just want that car.
Yeah, exactly.
I've told this, I bought an M3 BMW one time from a dealer and I didn't even test drive it. Kathy's like, What is wrong with you?
I want it.
I just want it. I don't want to ruin it by test driving. Maybe if I test drive it, I'm going to go, I really don't care about this car.
Yeah, and I think that's what she meant. She's so logical.
I love that logic. So, other new arrival is the 1982 Buick Riviera convertible. These are iconic body styles. Riviera, the Oldsmobile Tornado, and the Cadillac Eldorado of the 1979 and through 85 era were cool-looking cars.
Yeah, little luxury.
Little luxury. This one's got 79,000 miles. Little 307 cubic inch V8. Red fire mist metallic over dark red, which is a good color for those.
Yep.
Nicely optioned car. It's just, and it's a good kind of. It's not really a classic car in the true sense of the word, but it's kind of cool. You pull up to a car show and you're going to gather, people are going to look at it and they're going to ask you questions about it because a lot of people haven't seen these.
You just don't see them on the road anymore.
You don't, and that's the testament to their well-builtness.
Yep.
How about the 1956 Dodge Custom Royal D500 convertible? I've been using this in a lot of our advertising.
Oh, yeah.
This thing is bad.
Oh, my God.
Black and white over black and white. Frame off restore. Rebuilt 315 cubic inch Hemi, which people don't even realize there was Hemis back in the 50s. There were. Power Flight automatic. One of less than 1,500 belt. This is early Mopar muscle, for lack of a better term.
It's just spectacular.
Really
it's in our main showroom, so when you come to Classic Auto Mall,
just turn right.
Turn right into the main
Like at the grocery store. Why is it the people turn right? Why won't people turn left when they go to grocery stores? There's some psychological thing about turning right when you go into a store and everything that I don't know. And then they put the milk at the back and the lime and the coconut.
The taillights on this car are worth the price of admission.
I don't know what it would cost to restore the taillights and rechrome them.
Amazing.
And to do that, to redo those, even if you could find them, but it'd be
beautiful.
crazy. So next on the list is the 1955 Chevrolet 3100 Series panel truck, commercial red over gray.
Yeah.
Never heard of commercial red. Is gray G-R-A-Y or G-R-E-Y?
Well, that's a good question. It could be either one.
I have excellent questions.
Apparently.
So,
And sometimes it appears in both iterations in write-ups.
I think I'll have to
do kudos to the writer.
I want to hear more about that when you get to it. This is nicely restored. 3-speed manual, 235 cubic inch inline six. This is a great engine.
Those are awesome.
Oh my God, they are bulletproof as the day is long.
Love the red on this.
I do too. It really looks nice.
Cool.
And last but not least, the 1927 Ford Model T Roadster, midnight blue over ivory, 2,345 actual miles. How's that possible?
Wow. It's a hot rod.
Yeah, 350 cubic inch ZZ1 crate V8 is how.
That's how.
Aluminum head. So I imagine the car itself has more miles than that on it. Right. But since built and restored, it's got 2,345 miles. TCI turbo hydraulic 350 3-speed automatic, 4-wheel disc brakes, and a Ford 9-inch 411 posi rear.
It's a real custom. It's got parts from 27, 28, and 32 Ford. So
wow. So
really interesting.
Pretty crazy. So when we return, we'll be joined by our friend on the West Coast, Mr. Keith Martin, publisher of Sports Car Market Magazine. We'll see you in a couple of minutes.
The Classic Auto Mall has more than 1,000 vehicles for consignment in our huge 8-acre climate-controlled showroom. It's a real indoor mall. If you'd like to know all the advantages of buying and selling a car through consignment, the information is available on our website, or you can talk to a classic car specialist who can answer all your questions. It's easy, safe, convenient, and it doesn't matter where you are. We sell worldwide. See our huge selection of classic and collectible vehicles at classicautomall.com.
And we're back with the Classic Auto Mall show from the Classic Auto Mall studio, Morgantown, PA. Dreary day, March day. Here we are. But joining us to brighten our day, Mr. Keith Martin, publisher, Sports Car Market Magazine. Good morning, sir.
They call me Mr. Sunshine here in Portland.
Does the sun ever shine in Portland? Or is that a myth?
Did last week.
One time.
Yeah, about an hour.
Yeah. Well, that's why you got to have.
We were putting sunscreen on. We were really scared.
Is that SPF 3?
Exactly.
That's all you need, right? You don't have to have that fancy 50. Well, I hear you can get a suntan even with the cloudy day. I don't know. My wife's told me that, and I don't know if I believe her. But who am I to argue? Skin cancer is probably.
Well, you're here to argue, but you have to pick your battle.
Boy, don't you ever. Yeah, there are times that I say things and I think, what in the hell was I not thinking to say that? Why did I
just had I've got my Jag is on Bring a Trailer right now.
Yeah, it's going to end tomorrow, a couple of days, isn't it?
So I got a comment today saying, hey, this same car is advertised on Hemmings. Who are you trying to fool?
It's all smoke and mirrors. We're trying to put hey, you see these little cups and where's the ball?
I said, a lot of websites now scrape other people's listings, and I personally won't. I won't deal with somebody who does that,
right?
Because I want to be dealing with the real person,
right? Exactly. And the worst part about it is that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the reserve is in an auction. It doesn't matter if it's advertised 100 other places. Pay whatever you want to pay. I don't know. People have this weird thing in their head. They go, well, if I knew the reserve, then I probably wouldn't even bid on it. Well, you don't know where they're going to lift the reserve.
That's right.
So is the Jag getting close?
It's at 37.5 right now. Secretly,
nobody's watching.
I'd like to get closer to 60.
Yeah.
And then, by the time you take away the selling fees and the prep and all that, I mean, it's not if you go to one of the BAT partners, it's not cheap to sell through them.
Right. But they do a hell of a good job when they present your car. Probably much better than you could do on your own. Not you or I. You and I have a little better understanding. But it's like washing your own windows. You can do it, but you don't want to. Well,
I sold my SL55 Mercedes on a Mercedes-specific site. And they did an okay job, but they sent a guy out with an iPhone and he took pictures underneath, and it didn't cost me almost nothing.
Right.
On the other hand, it's going to cost me, there's a 12% surcharge, so, it'll cost me $6,000-$7,000 to sell this car.
Sure.
But I'll probably get $6,000 or $7,000 more.
That was what I was getting ready to say. The value added to, just like what we do here. I mean, when we sell a car, if you were to take a picture, a couple of grainy pictures and throw it up on Marketplace, you might get $40,000 for a car. We could probably get $50,000 for the same car, and get you more money in your pocket with no aggravation. You don't have to deal with it. You don't have anything to do other than just wait for the check or wait for the phone call to tell you to send the title.
I think what BAT has done with their partners thing, they've put a quality bar. In other words, they're spending almost $3,000 reconditioning my car, and I didn't think it needed anything.
Right. Yeah, I thought it was perfect. Yeah, what's the problem here?
The valve cover gaskets, rear wheel, just stuff, because they want the car to come out from their partners to be really good.
Yeah. And they don't want to start getting feedback saying, oh, you didn't disclose this, or this was a problem, and that's the problem with consignment vehicles, whether it's an online like BAT or Cars and Bids, or whether it's us as a retail dealer, or whether it's an auction house. These are old cars, and things are going to go wrong with them. And the more you can mitigate that and fix the things that or maybe obvious or maybe not quite as obvious. You have a different way of looking at your own car than a stranger does. And I get that.
So we got a note from the mechanic yesterday. He said, that thermostatic switch that turns on one of your fans that went out 5 years ago? Well, it's gone to sleep again. It's waiting until I've had the car 5 years, 10,000 miles.
Wow. Not
a problem. And it's waited until this exact moment when it's one day away from being sold to take a nap.
Yeah, it's inevitable that happens. I mean, we have cars that we literally put on a truck and trailer, and there's no problem, and they start and they run, they drive, and they don't do anything wrong, and they get to the West Coast, and there's some little issue that's popped up, and we don't know how it happened, and it just happens, and it's timing and just all of that. I mean, it's inevitable. It's Murphy's Law, I guess.
No, I sold my 67 Duetto, which I'd had 10 years, and was a perfect driver.
Right.
Perfect driver. The guy gets the car and he says, how come there's no reverse in this car?
Good question.
Yeah, I said, well, we never drove it backwards.
Yeah, we weren't trying to, if we'd have done that, we'd have been trying to get the mileage off the odometer by driving backwards, because that works, right?
Have you tried pushing the lever all the way to the right and then down? Oh.
Yeah, just got to give it a little extra tug. Well, it's amazing in this day and age, and this is the boon and the bane of the collector car hobby as we know it. We get a lot of guys who've never bought classic cars, never owned a classic car before, that come in here to buy a classic car, and we try to explain to them about how, why, what, when, and where, and what's going to work and what might not work and what might fail on you and what these issues are. It's in one ear and out the other. They're so excited about owning a fill in the blank 67 Mustang or a 71 Jaguar or whatever the piece is, that they're blinded. They don't see what they need to see.
Well, they think they bought a brand new Lexus in an old body.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the problem with cars built in the early 2000s. A 2002 Corvette looks like a new car. Guess what? It's 24 years old.
Well, that Porsche I just bought, that C4S, is a 2005. That's a 20-year-old car.
Yeah, it looks like a new car.
Yeah.
So, well, so this Jaguar, though, I mean, I know the show will air after it has sold. We hope it sells. But it's a good car. It's really well sorted, really nicely maintained, all that good stuff.
Original paint, original interior.
Yeah. They're only original ones. You can't go back to original.
Yeah, I've never owned a car that has been this original, but also has not been a barn pig.
Right. I like it.
This car has been loved all its life. The guy who bought it and his son who sold it to me, they're both NASA engineers.
So they didn't maintain it very well, or replace every little fuse, every little anything went wrong. I love guys like that. They're meticulous to a fault.
Yeah, no, it's been. I figured out that it's cost me 65 cents a mile to own this car.
Not a bad return on the old investment of what you do. And again, we tell people, don't buy these cars in investments. Buy them because you love them. If you make a profit when you sell it, then hallelujah, good for you.
Try to buy a good one.
Yeah, just buy a good one. Buy the best you can afford. And
also pick them. I had a Mercedes 250C that I was in 40 grand that
I remember that car.
For 22 or something. And we asked our readers, how come I lost so much money on the car? And they all said, because you bought the wrong stupid car in the first place.
Exactly. What is it that all the wealthy guys say? I didn't pay too much. I just bought it too early, right?
I know.
And what Bruce Meyer says is buy the best and you'll only cry once.
Yeah. Well, Bruce has got quite a collection of Saabs.
Yeah. Yeah. The Sonnet, I think that's an underrated car. I think that's a blue chip climbing in value car, right?
Oh, the first gen, when they had the actual Saab body that looked like a troll.
Right. That was the funniest looking car ever. I remember there was one.
It had a column shift on it.
Yeah, that's right.
I've had a couple of the series, I guess they're threes, but I never gravitated towards the floor shifter in that car compared to the column shift in the earlier Hearse.
Isn't that funny how a column shift sometimes can be a negative on a car, but some people, certain cars, it just works well.
Well, Alfa, in their 6C 2500 sedans, they had a 5-speed column shift.
Really? Oh, man, that could get a little wonky.
I know.
Your arm would be over here. It's like those 18-wheelers. I don't know that shift pattern for those semi-trucks, but
I know. It's my daughter has a commercial driver's license and drives those.
Really?
Yeah. And she's head of brand marketing for Western Star Trucks, which is a division of Daimler. But she can drive a 40-foot semi through downtown Portland traffic and rush hour.
Wow. We ought to sign her up for some kind of racing thing because it sounds like she would be good at it.
She loves her job, and she's 5 foot tall and just crawls up into the truck.
But they have those air ride seats, so they just come up as based on your weight is how far they go up.
little elevator comes to get you.
Yeah, yeah.
The reason I'm selling the Jag, it's been the best classic car I have ever owned.
Right,
10,000 miles on this car, but I'm kind of done with it. I've done all the tours, I've done all the rallies. Putting another 10,000 miles is not going to change my life.
No.
But I need an easier car to live with. That car takes 3 latches to open the hood.
Right.
It really takes 2 people. Where with the C4S I've got, it's a modern car.
Yeah, it really is. Even though it's, as you said, 20 years old, it's still a modern car with modern conveniences. It's comfortable. It's fast, but it's comfortable, and a lot going for it. And especially as we get older, and it's nothing. It's not like somebody's going to look at you and go, well, that's a grandpa car. Because it's not. It's a cool car.
Well, Porsche, I'm sure somebody's already written the book, but they have the magic touch for refining their shape to keeping it modern, while keeping it fresh.
Yeah.
Without it's how they've done that. How they've done all their SUVs, their 4-door sedans. Look, how long did it take Lamborghini and Ferrari to come up with a four-door.
Forever, and they still, didn't get it right. Porsche got it right out of the gate, and I think the Macan is a great-looking car. And I got a buddy of mine who's got a GTS Macan. He says, if you want the best all-around vehicle you can own, he said a Macan GTS might be at the top of the pile.
I take exception to that a little bit. I was on a 1,000-mile tour, and a guy loaned me his brand new GTS to drive.
Right.
And the problem is that they're so good that they're almost Korean.
Yeah, they're vanilla. They're just yeah.
And I, if I want to drive an SUV flat out, why would I do that?
Right. Yeah. You an SUV needs because it can haul something that you need to haul, or because you're blasting about off road. It's not to go 0 to 60 in 3.3.
Yeah, I think it's a great marketing move for Porsche, and they've sold a lot of cars.
Sure.
But it's just because it's a sports SUV. That's a contradiction in terms.
It's like a 4-door coupe. They love that nomenclature too. So anyway, we could do this all day, but sadly the clock is telling us that we've run out of time. So
right.
we will.
When we talk next, we'll figure out how close I got to my reserve on the Jag.
Absolutely. Keith Martin, Sports Car Market Magazine. Thanks again, Keith. We'll talk to you soon. And we'll catch you next week on the Classic Auto Mall Show. We'll see you then.
Here's a special offer from Sports Car Market Magazine. Get a 6-month subscription for just $19.95 by going to sportscarmarket.com/test drive and the number 6. That's sportscarmarket.com/test drive 6. If you're a buyer, a seller, or just general classic car enthusiast, publisher Keith Martin says,
we've been around almost 40 years. It's the Wall Street Journal of the collector car world.
Activate your 6-month trial of Sports Car Market Magazine by going to sportscarmarket.com/test drive 6. Offers for a limited time. Be in the know with Sports Car Market. The Classic Auto Mall Show with their host, Stewart Howden, executive producer, Steve Sethier, produced and engineered by yours truly, J.R. Russ, video editor, Randy Lammy. Available on classicautomall.com, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Music courtesy of the Pat Travers Band. For tour dates, contact, and stuff, visit pattravers.com. Produced by Car Smarts Media. Copyright all rights reserved.